So, Robin, Daniel Kinahan is now in jail in the United Arab Emirates. We're expecting that he will be facing extradition back to Ireland. What we're looking at here would appear to be charges related to murders, and these would be based upon analysis of secret encrypted messages. Tell me how all of that was uncovered.
Yeah, so the bulk of the case against Kinahan basically relates to encrypted messages recovered from Blackberries and specifically PGP devices, which stands for pretty good privacy. Now, those devices were seized over multiple years between 2015 and 2017, specifically from senior figures within the criminal organization that is the Kinahan gang. Now, neither a device or anything like that was ever seized from Daniel Kinahan himself, is my understanding, but his associates and those around him, device were seized from them. And obviously the encrypted devices, they cost a fair bit of money. You're only given one of those if you're entrusted in that criminal organization. So between kind of 2015 and 2017, senior lieutenants, even hitmen had these phones seized from them. And so effectively Gardaí have had this evidence in their possession for nearly 10 years, more than 10 years in some cases, but they were never able to get into the actual technology and crack the information within the devices. That advanced in around 2022, 2023 with the help of international law enforcement, particularly in North America and in Holland. Specialists managed to get into these devices, and over a number of years, Gardaí have gone through all those messages. They've analysed it, they've tried to attribute it, and they're now satisfied that they can link Daniel Kinahan to a number of specific murders and murder plots.
So, tell me then about what murders or attempted murders or plotted murders the Gardaí believe that Kinahan can be directly linked to.
So I'm told there are several now. I'm not sure of the exact breakdown of every single one of them, but what we are certain of that one of these relates to an attempt on the life of Gerry The Monk Hutch in Lanzarote in Spain on New Year's Eve in 2015. Now, this is obviously before the Regency Hotel gun attack, but it shows that the Kinahan gang were actually trying to target the monk even several weeks before that Regency shooting, which really escalates this feud. And the evidence that Gardaí have, they say, would prove that Daniel Kinahan was involved. Is conversations specifically with two hitmen who are alleged to have been sent to Lanzarote to target the monk. Another case was the brother of Gerard Hutch, Eddie Hutch, who was shot dead in February 2016, 3 days after Regency. Guardian believes that those encrypted messages they have also point to Daniel Kinahan's involvement in some way in that murder. There is a separate investigation ongoing by local detectives in Mountjoy. They're investigating Daniel Kinahan and want to charge him, or have at least recommended that he should be charged with murder, but the DPP have not come back on that yet. But this separate investigation by the Garda National Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau certainly includes the murder of Eddie Hutch and Daniel Kinahan's alleged involvement in that file.
So obviously it's not like WhatsApp where you're using your own name. So these are encrypted messages and people use code names, and obviously the recipient knows who the person sending them the message is. So Daniel Kinahan would appear to have had an alias here.
He would have had at least one which he used, and that was Bon. Now, the reason Gardaí were established a number of years ago, it's in the case of Imre Arakas. Now, he was a notorious criminal, a hitman for hire, was flown in April 2017, and he was brought in by the Kinahan organisation to murder James Mago Gately, a senior criminal figure working for the Hutch organisation. Now, that plan unfolded in April 2017. Arakas was arrested in the West Dublin safe house. Heavily armed Gardaí stormed the house. They caught him with a firearm, and they also found him with one of these PGP encrypted phones. Now, quick thinking Garda looked at the device, had a feeling that it might start wiping remotely. And as he was taking pictures of the conversations, that's exactly what happened. Somebody got wind of what happened and began remotely wiping the evidence on that device. Now, it showed conversations with Arakas, a number of people using different aliases. One of those aliases was Knife, which Gardaí believe is the nickname given to Sean McGovern, a senior Kinahan figure. And another alias on that phone was Bon, which Gardaí have always suspected was Daniel Kinahan. And certainly that conspiracy to murder James Mago Gately in Belfast is one of the incidents being used in the case against Kinahan.
How central will the encrypted messages be in terms of evidence, or do we believe there is obviously more in the file?
It's hard to say. My understanding is that it does make a significant part of the case against Daniel Kinahan. There's other, attribution evidence. You have to prove it's actually him. He's not using his own name on these devices. He's using a nickname. Gardaí and the DPP and the state have to be satisfied that they can, evidential standard attribute all these communications to Daniel Kinahan. There could be other evidence, CCTV evidence. There could even be a witness we don't know about. That hasn't been said yet. It's unlikely to be said as well. We saw in the case of Gerry Hutch where alleged accomplice turned state evidence against him. It's my understanding that's not the case in relation to Daniel Kinahan, but it very well could be as well. We won't know that until it goes to court, until he's brought back here, until that trial begins.
Yeah, that alleged accomplice wasn't necessarily of benefit to the prosecution case in the end, one would have to say. So what if ultimately, let's move it forward. Let's say Daniel Kinahan is extradited back to Ireland, okay, and then initially we will have some charges outlined, presumably against him before a trial at a later date. That presumably would be in the special criminal court. What are we likely to see him being charged with?
Well, officially, Gardaí and Dubai police have said that he was arrested on foot of a warrant for serious organised crime offences. And my understanding is that at least includes at the highest level under Section 71 of the Criminal Justice Act, that's directing the activities of a criminal organisation, which is a serious charge. It carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. And that's effectively an all-encompassing charge to include his alleged involvement in those murders and plots. He's not facing any specific murder charge, but it's just an all-encompassing charge to include all those specific plots and really build up the strength of that case against him. Like we saw in the case of the monk Gerry Hutch a number of years ago, where the state tried to make a case that he be charged with murder, and then the prosecution case was that he was one of the gunmen. He was running around the Regency Hotel dressed as a Garda, carrying a Kalashnikov, shooting people, and that fell at the hurdle. There was, serious concerns about how that case was brought in the first place. The presiding judge, Justice Tara Burns, even said that, to think that Gerry Hutch, a man who would have been in his mid-50s at that time of the Regency shooting, that he's jumping on tables, running around like a young man in the Regency, it just didn't make sense, and they couldn't convict him of the murder charge. So maybe lessons have been learned from that case.
Yeah, so Daniel Kinahan he'll be hitting 50 soon, is that right?
He will be. He'll be 49 in 2 months' time, and then his 50th birthday will be next July, I believe.
So, what sort of sentences are you looking at if these, if he is successfully prosecuted for direction of criminal activity?
It's hard to say. If he's brought back, he contests the case, he doesn't enter a guilty plea, he fights it, and he is found guilty, he's looking at serious jail time. Like, the maximum sentence here is life imprisonment. It rarely ever happens that somebody will get that if it's not a murder charge, but it's a mandatory life sentence. But it could very well happen that he faces the maximum there, or if not, significant jail time in excess of 20 years. He is the leader of what has been Ireland's biggest drug trafficking gang, international drug trafficking gang, for in excess of 20 years now.
What sort of collaboration was there between the Irish authorities with the United Arab Emirates authorities, the law enforcement, and even at a diplomatic level in securing this arrest?
Yeah, there's been a lot going on for the last 4 or 5 years on two different strands. So one strand is that diplomatic level, where you had the Department of Justice, Department of Foreign Affairs building diplomatic ties with officials in the United Arab Emirates. Then you have this kind of police-to-police basis as well, where the former Garda Commissioner Drew Harris and his senior team would have travelled over to Dubai on several occasions, and vice versa. Dubai police would have travelled over here as well to really start building those connections. One particular case that Dubai police were here for, Assistant Gardaí, was in relation to the MV Matthew, that massive drug seizure, Ireland's largest ever drug seizure in 2023, where over 2 tons of cocaine were got off the Cork coast. That was linked to the Kinahan cartel in some ways as well, so it really shows how much they've been involved, not just in criminality here, but alleged criminality from Dubai as well. So those connections were built, and that's been kind of more formalised now in the last year or so. The Department of Foreign Affairs, Simon Harris, in his role at that time, last May, signed an official treaty formalising an extradition treaty with Dubai. So Daniel Kinahan is effectively the first person now to be arrested and who will be extradited under that treaty. Sean McGovern was extradited previously, but that was a kind of more informal arrangement, or not quite formalised yet. He was detained under an Interpol red notice in Dubai and brought back through those channels, whereas the arrest of Daniel Kinahan now is specifically under a warrant issued by the Irish High Courts, and European arrest warrant.
Yeah, ultimately, the Kinahans must have known that a day like this may eventually come. So they'll have the resources and the wherewithal to fight this case, won't they?
They will. They've, infinite money. They'll throw everything they can at it. Initially, I'd imagine they'll throw all the money they can at not being taken out of Dubai, staying there and fighting his extradition back to Ireland. The intelligence is and the information has been for several years, and that Daniel Kinahan feels he won't get a fair trial in Ireland. He feels the Regency Hotel attack had some kind of government involvement at the time to this conspiracy theory that it was carried out by the assistance of Gardaí and the state to effectively win the general election that year for Fine Gael. He feels he's going to be stitched up effectively if he comes back to Ireland. So initially he's going to, I'd imagine, fight tooth and nail not to come back here and not to be extradited. And obviously when he does come back here, then if he does come back, he'll throw everything that as well. He'll get the best legal representation. He'll, get the best barristers he can, which he's legally entitled to. And I'd imagine he will fight and challenge the case to the hilt.
Just finally, you were at the Regency Hotel on that day, that infamous day, I suppose, in Irish history and in Irish criminal history at this stage. I'm right in saying Daniel Kinahan hasn't been back in Ireland since then. When exactly was the last time he was seen on Irish soil?
So the Regency gun attack where he was the main target was 5th of February 2016. The last time we know of him to have been in Ireland, being pictured here, was 10 days later. His associate, David Byrne, from Crumlin, was shot dead in the hotel that day. He was aged 32 and he was a senior associate of the crime gang. His funeral took place in Dublin City Centre 10 days later to much fanfare, big shows display and strength by the Kinahans, all wearing these matching suits. Daniel Kinahan was pictured there in a flat cap and a tweed jacket. That's the last time we know of him to be here, and it's certainly the Garda belief that he fled very soon, if not in the immediate hours after David Byrne was buried. He left for initially Spain, Costa del Sol, but then soon time after that, when the pressure from European law enforcement led by Gardaí was really getting to him, he moved to Dubai, which he has believed for the last kind of 8 or 9 years was a safe haven for him. That's obviously not the case anymore.
Yeah, so a decade later, Daniel Kinahan is heading back to Ireland. Okay, Robin Schiller, thanks very much for that.
Thank you, Vinod.
Conor Plunkett, to start with, will you explain what is Bellingcat?
Yeah, so Bellingcat, we're basically a collective of researchers and journalists, and what we do is we focus on open source investigations. So what open source means, it's basically our reports are done using publicly available information, usually found online. So that's basically it. And you would be surprised at what you can find basically with doing some Google searches or things you can find on the internet. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's what it is.
So it's all out there. You just need to know where to look, and that's what you know how to do. Tell me then about you and your background.
Yeah, so I'm an investigator at Bellingcat. I don't have a background in traditional journalism. I didn't go to school for it or anything. Basically, I'm into computers. I'm good with tech. So, and I'm good. I don't get bored very quickly with the internet. I think that's a key skill with this. So I can go down rabbit holes and dig up stuff that might be missed by others. So yeah, that's basically the skill I bring to this.
So can you talk to me then about what did you learn through these, as you say, open source internet searches about the type of life that Daniel Kinahan was living in Dubai?
Yeah, so well, I mean, it's been estimated that they have a wealth of over $1 billion. So obviously, he is living the high life over there. And what we've seen from open sources, I mean, our most recent investigation last month, he's sitting there at an MMA event in VIP seats in the front row. And this was last year. This is after the US sanctions, after the $5 million reward in his head. So yeah, he has been living a VIP lifestyle. I mean, when those US sanctions were announced, one of his addresses in Dubai was on the Palm Jumeirah, which is this artificial island where villas will cost tens of millions of dollars. There's private beaches, and this was just one of the addresses he had.
So you mentioned this investigation that you undertook with the Sunday Times, and you went basically looking for the Kinahan family. Can you talk to us how you went about that and what tools were helpful to you in that regard?
Yeah, so we've Bellingcat, we've been working with the Sunday Times since late 2023 on this, and the initial investigation we did was on Christy Kinahan's Google review profile. So basically what was happening was Christy Kinahan was using this alias Christopher Vincent online. This had been reported by the Sunday World back in 2022, I think. And, they had found that he was on LinkedIn, on Twitter, using that alias. So basically what we did, we looked around online, tried to see if he'd been using this anywhere else that had been missed. Basically doing a Google search, relatively simple, with some other keywords. And then one of these searches, what came up was a Google review for a restaurant in Dubai. And then it was just a matter of clicking through to that. And then you can see the actual Google review profile. And on it, there were over 200 reviews, over 1,000 photos, over a period of 4 years from 2019 to 2023. And what it showed was this person was traveling all over Europe, Africa, the Middle East and Asia. And we did a good bit of work then to verify that this was actually Christy Kinahan and not just some other guy with the same name. In a couple of the shots, he'd been caught in reflections in windows and mirrors. And then we did some other more technical stuff, again, all open source, where we were happy enough then to verify that this was Christy Kinahan. And yeah, that was basically what happened.
So why was he leaving Google a Google review footprint?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think what he was trying to do at the time with this alias Christopher Vincent and setting up all these social media profiles, this is just my opinion. He was trying to reinvent himself as this, business broker. And I think what his idea was if anyone looked up Christopher, if he handed out a business card at a conference, which he had been at conferences, and someone looked up his name, they would find his LinkedIn profile and all this online footprint of a seemingly legitimate guy that had no connection to this Kinahan name. So I think that might have been what he was trying to do here. And also I think part of it was he seemed to enjoy reviewing these places. Like he would leave pretty long, detailed reviews, naming specific people who worked in a place. So I think he seems like the type of guy who likes giving his opinion about stuff. And it's a similar reason why anyone would leave Google reviews, I think. So that was part of his motivation too.
Fancied himself as a bit of an influencer in his own way. As you say, then the Kinahans, they're living in Dubai for the best part of the last decade. It's a millionaire's, if not a billionaire's playground. You were noticing from Google reviews then the sort of establishments that he was frequenting and what he was getting up to.
Yeah. So he was going to a lot of, 5-star hotels. He was reviewing a lot of cafes and restaurants. He was talking about having, those air miles. He was in the VIP lounges in airports. So he was going to. I mean, it was clear that he was a fairly wealthy businessman type. He was also in one review, he was on a private plane, which was particularly interesting. And this had gone from an airport in Harare in Zimbabwe to South Africa. And of course, there have been reports about the fact that he tried to set up a base in Zimbabwe. I think he was considering that as an alternative to Dubai, but it didn't work out in the end. And then after the US sanctions were announced in April 2022, there were just a handful of reviews after that, and they were all in the UAE. So this might imply that he was traveling internationally a bit less. So it was giving away clues and hints about his wealth and what kind of lifestyle he had.
So that was Christy Senior. So Daniel, as we know, had a long record with the boxing industry. So then, how did you find him then at an MMA match?
Yeah, so this is our investigation last month. What we basically did was one of Daniel Kinahan's adult sons, his name was reported late last year in the media in the United States. So we took that information, we started doing some searches online, seeing where this person turns up, because often what happens is, obviously Kinahan, he's not on social media himself, but people who are orbiting him obviously still have social media. So that's what we did in this case, and we used a facial recognition search engine that's anyone can access online. And we put an image of Daniel Kinahan's adult son through the search engine, and there was just one result. It was a professionally taken photograph, of this guy sitting next to Daniel Kinahan at an MMA event in Dubai last summer. So that's how we initially found that picture. And then from there, we started looking at this MMA event closely. It was in the Coca-Cola Arena, which is the biggest indoor arena in Dubai, as far as I'm aware. And it was an MMA event run by this ex-UFC fighter, Munir Lazez. And then we subsequently found that this guy, Munir Lazez, ran two companies, or he was listed as director of two companies that owned these ships that were sanctioned by the US for links to Iran and Hezbollah. So yeah, that's basically how we started that trail, and we just followed it along to find these extra details. And also, I should note, we also found Christy Kinahan was at the same event on the front row at the other end of the seating area. And we did this by just trawling through the hours and hours of footage of the MMA fights that were on YouTube and online. So that's how we did that.
Talk to me about what we understand about Daniel Kinahan's arrest then last week.
Yeah, so he was arrested late last week in Dubai, and this was after police there received a judicial file from Ireland, and this would have outlined charges against him for directing an organised crime group. And on foot of that, an arrest warrant was issued by the authorities in the UAE. So the Dubai police arrested him within 48 hours of that warrant being issued. And this happened in Dubai after what they said was an intensive search and surveillance operation. But yeah, it's been reported he surrendered without objection, and now he's likely been taken to the Dubai Central Jail, which is definitely going to be a different experience from what he's been used to over the last 10 years in Dubai.
Yeah, and then Christy Senior and Christopher Junior, they seem to still be in Dubai, and Daniel's family still there. So presumably Christy Senior and Christy Junior, they're not going to be leaving Google reviews anymore to track their whereabouts. They'll probably get a little bit more nervous about their status there.
Yeah, definitely. They 100% will be. I mean, this is the most direct blow to the cartel leadership in recent memory. So I think they'll be assessing the options, and I'm sure deciding on whether it's time to flee the UAE. I mean, this is something that's been speculated a lot over the last 10 years. Options they could consider would be like somewhere in Africa, even in Russia. Iran was also an option, but I think that's not realistic right now due to what's happening. I think the key thing they'll be looking for if they want to flee is somewhere that's not aligned with Western interests. But I think another thing to remember is there's been significant law enforcement pressure on the Kinahans. They were sanctioned by the US. 3 of them had that $5 million reward. But it's the formal submission of charges from Ireland or elsewhere, which I think is central. And that's what happened with Daniel Kinahan last week. So I think this has not happened with the other members of the cartel. And I think they'll be weighing up the likelihood of that when considering if or when to flee.
Conor Plunkett, thanks very much for joining us and explaining all that to us.
Thanks a million for having me.